Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Going to be giving you my player ratings from Manchester United's 4-0 defeat to Brentford. So I'll start with David De Gea, going to give him a 1 out of 10. David De Gea was to blame for 2 of Brentford's goals. You know, despite that, I still highly rate David De Gea. You know, David De Gea earlier on this year won the Players' Player of the Year. He's won everything domestically at the football club and he's made over 500 appearances for Man United in all competitions. De Gea has been a long-serving player at United. You know, he's endured around 11 years at the club. He's been with us since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. His contract at Manchester United expires next year. Manchester United got De Gea from Atletico Madrid back in 2011. But, you know, for the last couple of years now, you know, De Gea, you know, has been making mistakes. So he's become a liability. Moving on to Diego Dalot. Going to give him a 2 out of 10. You know, I thought he was poor. Provided a couple of good crosses in the game, but apart from that, didn't do much. Diego Dalot, yeah, he's our first choice right back under Ten Hag. You know, he was our first choice right back under Ralph Rangnick. I think Dalot's on his way out of the club, if I'm going to be honest with you. His contract at Man United expires next year. At one point, he had a loan spell with AC Milan. So reflecting on that, he gained some experience. Man United got Dalot from Porto for around 19 million. We brought him in under the Jose Mourinho era. Now moving on to Harry Maguire. Going to give him a 2 out of 10. You know, didn't get forward enough. Defensively poor. Also received a yellow card in the game. We've got to get rid of Harry Maguire. He's not good enough. We need to take the captaincy off him. Obviously, he's probably going to remain captain because Eric Ten Hag has obviously got faith in him. Revert back to last season, the vast majority of Manchester United fans were demanding for the captaincy to be taken off Maguire. Because Maguire is not a leader. Maguire's been at the club for around 3 years now. You know, Man United got Harry Maguire for 80 million, so reflecting on that, is the most expensive centre-half in the world at the moment. Moving on to Lisandro Martinez, going to give him a 2 out of 10. He endured a poor game. Martinez was also poor against Brighton last weekend, so reflecting on that, Martinez has endured a bad start to his career at Manchester United. But obviously Martinez does need time. You know, at some point he will settle in. Man United signed Lisandro Martinez from Ajax. Got him in a deal worth 57 million. Martinez is under contract to Man United till 2027. There's an option of a further 12 months. Moving on to Luke Shaw. He's going to get a 1 out of 10. You know, very poor again. I can't understand why we don't start Tyrell Malacia over Luke Shaw. Do you think Malacia should be our first choice left back? Well, Malacia isn't our first choice left back, Luke Shaw is. You know, the best season Luke Shaw endured at Man United was a season, was it before last? You know, Shaw's been a very long-serving player at the club, and he's only had, what, 1 or 2 good seasons at Man United. His contract at the club expires next year. Luke Shaw is injury prone, which is a concern. Moving on to Fred. He's going to get a 2 out of 10. I thought he was very poor in possession. Didn't get forward enough. And Fred's another player we need to sell. Man United got Fred from Shakhtar Donetsk. Got him in a deal worth 50 million. Moving on to Christian Erickson. I'll give him a 3 out of 10. You can say that Erickson was partly to blame for Brentford's second goal because he got dispossessed far too easily, when David De Gea kicked it out. Well, there again, Erickson got dispossessed several times in the game today. It was Erickson's second league start. I do actually recall Erickson having a chance in the game as well, just went over the bar. Today, of course, Erickson was reuniting with Brentford. Of course, Man United signed Christian Erickson on a 3 transfer. Erickson, of course, did sign a 3-year contract. Moving on to Bruno Fernandez. He's going to get a 3 out of 10. I thought he was also poor. Fernandez did receive a yellow card in the game today as well. Like I've said, we've struggled to get the best out of Bruno Fernandez since Ronaldo re-signed for the club. But prior to Ronaldo re-signing, we was getting the best out of Bruno Fernandez. Fernandez has been a United player for over 2 years. Man United got him from Sporting Lisbon back in January 2020. Moving on to Marcus Rashford. He's going to get a 2 out of 10. He was very poor today. Rashford looked out of his depth. Rashford, of course, got a yellow card in the game today as well. Rashford weren't that good against Brighton last weekend. Did have some opportunities against Brighton, but he didn't convert them. He didn't do too bad in pre-season, to be fair. But for me, Rashford has not been the same player since he had that operation on his shoulder. He missed the first 2 months, was it, of last season with that shoulder problem. Rashford could leave Manchester United. His contract at the club expires next year. Man United have already said that Rashford is not for sale. PSG are interested in signing Marcus Rashford. RMC Sports said the other day that PSG had begun discussions for Marcus Rashford. PSG value Rashford at around 60 million. Rashford has been part of Manchester United for a long time. He came up our academy. He's been a United player since the age of 7 and he broke into our senior squad back in 2016. And since then he's made, 305 appearances and scored around 93 goals. Moving on to Jaden Sancho. He's going to get a 3 out of 10. Again, he struggled today. Sancho, though, did well throughout pre-season. He did well towards the end of last season. We was getting the best out of him. Man United did sign Jaden Sancho from Borussia Dortmund in a deal worth 78 million with add-ons included. Sancho's under contract with Man United till 2026. There's an option of a further year. Sancho did enjoy 4 good years with Borussia Dortmund before he came to Man United. And moving on to Ronaldo, going to give him a 2 out of 10. I think Ronaldo did have 1 or 2 opportunities in the game today. By the way, Ronaldo refused to approach the Man United fans. Ronaldo did not start the game against Brighton last weekend, but he came on as a substitute. By the way, the United players want Ronaldo gone. Well, not so long ago it said that Ronaldo wanted his Man United contract ripped up so he could leave on a free transfer. Revert back to Man United's final pre-season friendly against Rayo Vallecano. Ronaldo left before the end of the friendly, so reflecting on that, that stirred suggestions up. Ronaldo's contract at Man United expires next year. There's an option of a further 12 months. We re-signed Ronaldo last year from Juventus, so he is in his second spell at Man United. Today, Manchester United brought substitutions on in the game. We saw Scott McTominay come on, give him a 3 out of 10. McTominay got butted in here. McTominay actually could have been sent off. McTominay is another player we need to get rid of because he's not good enough. Rafael Varan also came on in the game today. I was surprised that Varan didn't start because I thought he was going to start ahead of Maguire today. Give Varan just a 3 out of 10. Donny van de Beek came on in the game as well. Give him a 4 out of 10. We saw Alanga come on in the game. Give him a 4 out of 10. And Tyrell Malacia came on in the game and give him a 3 out of 10. So that is your player ratings for Manchester United's 4-0 defeat to Brentford. You know, Man United have lost their first 2 league games. Man United are bottom of the league with 0 points. You know, today Brentford were 4-0 up in the first 35 minutes. Obviously we saw Joshua De Silva score for Brentford. Obviously that goal came from an error from De Gea, like I mentioned on the match reaction. Matthias Jensen scored for Brentford. His goal came from Erickson being dispossessed. Matthias Jensen also got an assist in the game. Ben Mee scored for Brentford. Brentford got Ben Mee from Burnley. And Brian Mbeumo scored for Brentford. And we saw Ivan Toney get 2 assists in the game. You know, Brentford could have had more than 4 goals. You know, Brentford's manager is Thomas Frank. He's been the Brentford manager since October 2018, so he's been the Brentford manager for almost 4 years now. He's under contract with Brentford till 2025. You know, before he was the manager of Brentford, he was the Brentford assistant. You know, before then managed Bromby, and before then managed Denmark's under 16s, Denmark's under 17s, Denmark's under 18s, and Denmark's under 19s. Did you know that this season is Brentford's second season in the Premier League? Revert back to last season, it was the first time Brentford had been in the top flight for around 74 years. You know, Brentford have enjoyed a pretty good start this season, you know, winning 4-0 today, drawing 2-2 with Leicester last weekend. And let me put into the equation that Brentford have lost key players. Obviously they lost Nathan Young-Coombs, he's out on loan Wimbledon. They lost Marcus Forss to Middlesbrough. They lost Christian Erickson. You know, they lost Ollie Watkins to Villa. They lost Ben Rama to West Ham. So there you go. And they've had some injuries at Brentford as well. Ethan Pinnock's recently been injured. Sergi Carnos has been injured, and he's one of Brentford's key players. You know, last season, Manchester United did the double over Brentford. You know, Man United won 3-1 at the Brentford Community Stadium and beat Brentford 3-0 at Old Trafford. You know, Eric Ten Hag has enjoyed a very bad start to his managerial career at Manchester United. But you know what? Ten Hag is blameless for these poor performances. You know, the players have to take responsibility for these poor performances. You know, the team's just poor. And the board play a part as well. You know, we've got to get the Glazers out of Manchester United because they've been one of the biggest issues at the club for a long time. You know, for a while now, the vast majority of Man United fans have been protesting against the Glazers. As you all know, Man United fans are planning a protest against the Glazers ahead of the game against Liverpool at Old Trafford next week. The Glazers have been at United since 2005, so they've owned the club for around 17 years now. Earlier on today, I gave you the news on Michael Knighton. It says Michael Knighton is preparing a bid to buy the club from the Glazer family. Revert back to 1989, Michael Knighton tried to buy Man United, but he aborted a £20 million bid. You know, Michael Knighton is known for his involvement with Manchester United and Carlisle. We've obviously got John Murtaugh at the club, who's our director of football. We've got Richard Arnold at the club as well. You know, Mitchell van der Gag and Steve McClown at the club. They're working alongside Ten Hag. Ten Hag was the one that recommended them in. You know, Benny McCarthy's at the club, and not so long ago, Sir Alex Ferguson came back to Man United in an advisory role. So there you go. But, you know, revert back to Ten Hag, you know, the vast majority of this squad's not his. You know, he's inheriting Deadwood. You know, Ten Hag has made 3 signings so far this summer. And, you know, obviously he signed Terrell Malacia from Feyenoord, Christian Erickson, and signed Lisandro Martinez from Ajax. So he spent around 70 million so far this summer. You know, Ten Hag knows that, you know, he's got big expectations to exceed. And if he fails to exceed expectations, he's getting sacked, no doubt about it. You know, we have seen players leave Manchester United this year, like I've said. You know, Henson went out on loan to Forest. Tellez went out on loan to Sevilla recently. Lee Grant left the club. Matic went to Roma. Pogba left for the second time on a free transfer. He made a return to Juventus. Lingard left. He went to Nottingham Forest. Juan Mata left on a free. Edison Cavani left on a free. And, you know, Man United sold Andrews Pereira to Fulham. And, you know, we let quite a few young players go. So there you go. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you with. Drop your comments, likes on the channel if you do. Consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.